I've decided to make another model using a paper and card ship model kit, and this time HMS Badger. Now, the kit is produced in Poland, WAK, and Badger was an American-built vessel, probably of cedar, and probably about 1760-ish. And she was allegedly the first command of Admiral Lord Nelson. I'm not sure about that, but that's what they say. The scale is 1 to 100, and I decided to get the kit because she is a sloop of war, and my other models of sloop of war, which I have 5, are at a scale of 1 to 96, very close to this. I like to try and have models the same scale so that you can compare them properly. This kit is composed of a number of sheets of normal paper with the components of all the pieces of the boat and the hull members on them. Now, I thought I would arm myself with a really good authoritative plan or draft of HMS Badger. This is a reconstruction done from an Admiralty draft by Howard Irving Chappell, long since dead, but he was a great historian in the United States. And the thing that is, when you look at this draft, the interesting thing is that this vessel has a hogged keel, but it is a deliberate hogged keel. And it may have been done in order to balance her enormous main course, or 4.5 main course. The thing also is that this gives me a completely authentic thing about fitting her up, so I can get measurements and details right. Now, the skeleton of these card models needs to be well constructed. And here is the skeleton of HMS Wolf of 1754. It's a shipyard kit. And you'll see it has a central vertical member running the whole length of the ship. And it has a good number of bulkheads running across. And these are held in position by a deck or an under deck coming in from the side, and also by a vertical member on what I call the quarter beam buttock bow line. And it actually produces an egg box construction which stops the whole thing twisting or bending, and gives a very true hull and a very strong one. This is what the WAK kit for Badger gives you for the hull. And you will see at the bottom is the central member. You'll see the bulkheads dotted around the outside, and you will see one deck. And that is all, apart from some small bits and pieces. And to my view, that doesn't make a sufficiently robust structure on which to start planking. However, I will come to that problem later on. The paper it's printed on is thin, and everything needs to be cut out from that. Now, one of the pieces of advice from the kit is that you have to paste this sheet, or the individual parts of the sheet, onto card that is 1.5 millimeters thick. And I didn't have that, but I elected to use 2 millimeters, and hence I had to enlarge all the slots in the vertical member, which you can see where I've inked those in larger, and all the slots in the individual bulkheads. And you will also note that I have drawn in on all those individual bulkheads more slots coming from the deck downwards. And that is to take what will be the quarter beam buttock bow line longitudinal former, to give the whole thing some strength. And this is a member not provided by the kit. And these are the tools used in this business. You can see bottom left one of the bulkheads cut out using a scalpel there. A quick setting white glue put on by a scalpel onto the back of the cutout bulkhead, and then a roller to get it really secure onto it. Now that's very important because otherwise you won't necessarily get the right shape of bulkhead. These are all the parts loosely cut out, not cut exactly to their size, and ready to be stuck onto the 2mm high quality mounting board I have used. Now, if you look at the top one, the deck, which is stuck onto some thinner board, you will see that it is not straight. And this shows up better in the next slide. Now, here it is. Now, the reason it's bent is that I covered the thin paper deck with glue, put it onto the cardboard, rolled it out firm, and then left it. And of course, what happened is that the paper expanded with the glue and then shrank as it died and bent the whole thing. I should have put weights on it during the drying process. So I'll be doing that now, and it may actually fortuitously come out very nicely in the shape of the shear line of the deck. Here are all the individual pieces posted onto 2mm board, ready to be given a quick cut out. Now, I'm using a Dremel saw, and this is bulkhead number 8, sawn out. It's quite difficult to get it exactly right, partly due to the fact that the saw blade pushes a bow wave of fine card dust. So to see the line itself is difficult unless you keep blowing at it, blowing the dust away. And inevitably, some tidying up is done, and that's done by using a scalpel and a nail little nail sanding board. The slot I cut out using a knife and a 1mm chisel. And it's a better way than doing it, I believe, with a saw, where I'm not entirely happy yet that I can see well enough to do it. Now, they're the sort of tools you're using to do this, and there aren't many of them. The lamp you see on its arm, top right, is an incredibly useful thing. It's got a bulb in there, and it's got a good magnifying lens. And when you work under that, you can really work down to the sort of half-quarter millimeter with extreme precision. Those files, actually diamond files, they work on this card, which is really quite surprising. The long black thing in the middle is a chisel. And you'll see the scalpel, which has actually been put into an X-Acto holder, and a cutting edge there, and the nail sanding thing. Very few tools required in this sort of model making. And there you see 3 components of the skeleton: the bulkhead number 8, with the slots to go over the central longitudinal member, and the 2 other slots to take the buttock bow, quarter beam buttock bow line formers when they get eventually made and put in. Now that's it. A very limited presentation so far, but I will continue this, and I hope to be able to show you the putting together of the whole skeleton at the next session. Thank you.